Welcome to our video series on using prerequisite tree thinking tools for business. In this video, we'll look at what it is and what it can do for you. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the theory of constraint thinking tools, and I'm going to focus in specifically on one of the tools, which is called the prerequisite tree. Okay, first of all, what is the theory of constraint? At the simplest level, it's really a management theory for optimizing business, and it's a huge subject, so I can't really do it the justice it deserves here, but it's really a very respected management theory for helping optimize businesses, and it's a huge subject, so it may be something you want to look into. There are a lot of publications about it and an awful lot of websites about it, and part of the theory of constraints is thinking processes, tools for problem solving. And again, if you just do a search, you'll come up with many websites with information on this, and there's a lot of free information. But part of the problem is that there's a lot of niche language used with this subject, and it can be quite inaccessible initially. Obviously, as I'm creating a video series on prerequisite trees, I'm quite familiar with them, and I've created quite a few of them myself. But just reading how to do a prerequisite tree on many of these sites is very inaccessible. So really, the goal of this video series is to help you get productive with prerequisite trees. So what are prerequisite trees? Okay, I'll go to that in just a moment, but first of all, a couple of examples. Okay, this is one of the top sites returned when doing a Google search for theory of constraint thinking tools. It provides a lot of good information, but again, it is quite inaccessible initially. For example, here, the theory of constraint, TOC, is a philosophy of management and improvement originally developed by... Okay, a lot of information. And actually, let's bring up another example. And from the same website, the TOC thinking process, tools for problem solving. Problems are related to dilemmas, doubts, and decisions. From a scientific viewpoint, any problem can be stated in terms of a conflict or conflicts between... Okay, you can have a read through that if you like. And there are actually 6 tools. Tool 1, the evaporating cloud. Tool 2, the current reality tree. Tool 3, the future reality tree. And some examples here. Tool 4, the negative branch reservation. Tool 5, the prerequisite tree. Tool 6, the transition tree. Okay, do you really need to learn all these tools? If you really want to dive into the subject, you can certainly do that. But why I'm going to focus on the prerequisite tree, which is detailed as tool 5 out of 6, here is because it's a great tool to jump straight into, and it's hugely helpful for whatever type of business you're running, as you'll discover as we go through this. And even though the prerequisite tree even though there's a huge amount of information about it online, I first became familiar with it through a site called Strategic Profits, which focuses on helping small businesses clarify their business strategy and make a lot more money with that strategy. And that's where I was first introduced to the prerequisite tree and really got my interest in it and the theory of constraint subject matter. From there, I've done a lot more research. And actually, because I've used prerequisite trees a lot myself, I've customized the process a little bit, I feel. Obviously, you can take what I demonstrate and customize it for yourself. But I've customized the process a little bit, and I find that it just helps make the whole process a little bit easier and a little bit more logical. At least that's my opinion, but you may disagree, and you may want to use it in a slightly different way. And actually, I mentioned this resource. I hope that when you view this video, it will still be available. If you're running a small business and you're interested in optimizing your business strategy, and being as successful as possible in your business, this is a fantastic resource. They have the Business Growth System, which is a 12-month course that really covers everything you need to have a really successful small business. And a very, very small part of that is the Prerequisite Tree. Also covered is the theory of constraint. But there's a huge amount of the course beyond that. So you can visit that page if you like, and it will offer you information about that. Okay, what I'm going to focus on, as mentioned, is the Prerequisite Tree. And even for personal decisions or business decisions, I'm sure you'll find it hugely helpful once you become familiar with it. The reason for that is that it makes complicated goals and complicated decisions very logical and gives you a lot of clarity about them. I think you'll see that quite clearly as we go through these videos. So in the next video, we'll get started, but actually just before that, let me introduce you to the software we'll be using. And Prerequisite Tree, let's see. Well, this really isn't an example of a prerequisite tree, but really, all these sorts of thinking tools are in this sort of format, and you have different items, and they're all linked somehow. And you can, of course, create such diagrams using Microsoft PowerPoint, for example. Or there's Microsoft Visio, which helps you create such diagrams as that. And you can even create such diagrams in image creation programs, of course. And what I'll be using for these demonstrations is software pretty much created for the theory of constraint thinking tools. And the software is called Transformation LogicTree. That's 2 words. And the top result is transformation-logictree.com. And as it says here, TLT, Transformation LogicTree, is quality software for managing business process improvement and general problem solving via the thinking processes. And it's suitable for all the theory of constraint thinking processes. But I'll be using it specifically in these examples for prerequisite trees. And if we download, there's a 30-day free trial, and after that, it's quite inexpensive, $28 effectively. But you can try that for the 30-day trial, become familiar with it, and see if it's right for you. So all you need to do is, I'm going to download that, and install that, and it's a very straightforward process. And then in the next video, I'll start talking you through using the Transformation LogicTree, specifically for the prerequisite tree.